Hello, good evening. Once again, welcome back to the Fallout Bar day or night number 13. You guys have put up with nearly 2 weeks of this so far, and there's still a few more days left to go as well. My name is Jack Gobbegarwood, and I'm joined by Luke and Cam. Once again, hello to everybody in the chat room. We'll say hello to you all individually shortly. But first of all, yet another cracking day of darts from the Alexandra Palace, Luke.
Yeah, it was. It was. There were some good games and some bad games. Don't get me wrong, but overall, if we take the afternoon session, some of them games were absolutely fantastic. You know, we had a couple of 7-setters. We got one in the evening session as well. So yeah, a good day of darts, but it's a little bit of lacking quality at times.
Story of the tournament, that to be fair though, Cam, it's been very hit and miss, but that's what you get in such a big field. But when we've needed it to, the darts has delivered so far.
Yeah, I think pretty much we've said this so much throughout the tournament so far that the quality's maybe not quite been there a lot of the time, but that makes for a lot of drama, doesn't it? And it tends to mean that everything gets a little bit exciting when they're maybe not playing as well, they're not hitting the doubles where we're expecting them to, but then it just builds that drama, that suspense, and it makes it an exciting watch even when it's not the best standard.
Yeah, and set play. Just set play. It gives you so many crucial moments that just keep turning over and over and over again. That means you're guaranteed drama. If you're averaging 75, if you're averaging 105. Hello to people in the chat room. Charlie from the team. Evening, lads. Nice to see Luke has paid his electrical bill. It's very bright tonight, buddy. That is right above your head. I was convinced that was going to be a comment about the Northeast from Charlie as he wishes he was one of you, but you know that'll get a reaction as well.
Luke's just going for the Jesus look there with the halo around the top of his head.
Honestly, it is so bright. I'll try and put my head in the way.
There we go. Adam's in. He says hello. Who else is in? Sam is in. Jack is in. Tommy Tornado is in. And plenty of others. Rose is in. She says, where's it gone?
Only 7 matches remaining.
Only 7 matches left.
Have a look at that poll. It looks like we've got the poll right. That's pretty close. 28% for 3 players.
I must preempt this, by the way, by saying that I really wanted James Wade included in this poll as well, but was outvoted a little bit. That is the problem when you have 6 winners today. 5 of them could have made the poll. One of them, perhaps we've all agreed to leave out to a certain extent. Not even sure of that, to be honest. He pulled off a comeback from way behind as well. All 6 players could have been in the poll today, but they're the 4 we've gone through. Henry says, evening, fellas. How's your KFC gob? It was absolutely dreadful. Never again. Callum Ridge is the business. For me, performance of the day, superb. Yeah, we'll get onto that bit shortly. And Tommy says, Wade, easiest quarterfinal ever. Yeah, the man is yet to hit 180 score in the World Championships, but finds himself in the quarterfinals. It has opened up massively for the man that has already made 3 PDC World semi-finals, but has gone no further. He is closing in on Wayne Mardle's record of 5 World Championship semi-finals, but hopefully Wadey will go one better should he reach that. Plenty to talk about then, boys, so let's jump straight into the action. We'll go in game order once again, and that means we start with Mervyn King pulling off yet another comeback. He really, the man, the king, you need to add the comeback in front of that name because that's all he's done all tournament, Luke. He starts slowly, gets himself behind, stays at a level, and he just wears his opponent down.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the question for me. Is the distinction, did Mervyn King make the comeback or did Raymond Smith throw the game? Because to be honest, he was in a very commanding position. The crowd started to get on his back a little bit. It affected him. I don't think Mervyn King necessarily upped his game too much, but he took the chances. And as soon as Smith's scoring game dropped, he wasn't getting any shots at doubles. King was under no pressure and just finished him off. But look, we can't fault him. He's managed to find his way through 3 games now and 3 pretty tough games as well. Steve Lennon maybe he's not so, but Ryan Joyce was a very tough test for him. So he's come through a few games out. He's in a quarter-final, and who knows how far he goes. But he's got to be fancying the chances against James Wade.
He has indeed. And Cam, that point that Luke made to start about the distinction about whether Merv upped it or Raymond fell off a little bit. Smith posted something on his social media after the game saying he was really upset about the performance. after 2 or 3 sets, he started thinking about home, and it got to him a little bit. And obviously, when you had how boisterous and loud the Ali Pali crowd have been supporting Mervyn King, who has never had that support anywhere else, he's always been the crowd villain. I think that got a little bit too much for him in that moment.
Yeah, I think it did. We've seen him through his first few games. He's been consistent around mid-90s. He's hit around about 50% of his doubles, and was the same early on in this game. And as he got into a lead, and then it fell away, and he finished way below that standard. I think finished about the mid-30s on the doubles, and well, 80 odd average. Was it about 83? I think in the end. So it was a big drop off from him, and if you suddenly lose 10 points off your average and the doubling's gone down a little bit as well, you're going to struggle, especially against someone like Merv, who, like we know, is very consistent, and again, not played anywhere near what he can do either, but just it was enough. Again, it was exactly like the Ryan Joyce game in the fact that he didn't really pick it up that much. He just did enough and let the other guys kind of give it away.
Did indeed. And Luke, one more on Raymond. He was 1 win away from potentially receiving a 1-year tour card outright through the Order of Merit. A lot have been made about Willie, won't he take that? A lot of posts on social media. Again, saw him interacting about that discussion. Do you think that perhaps played a little bit into this performance as well?
I think based on his social media post today, it looks like I don't think he would have taken it even if he'd won. I think, he's at that stage in his career where, to be honest, he plays darts for the fun of it and because he enjoys the game, but I don't necessarily think he's going to try and make a career out of it. I think he does. Obviously, he has missed home, and I think being away full-time, we've seen the likes of Hedder and Whitlock in the past that have made the move over here full-time. I don't think that was the sort of route that Raymond Smith was going to go down. I think it would have been a huge bonus, but to be honest, I think he would have rejected it. So maybe it was playing on his mind a little bit, but I don't think he'd be too aggrieved that he's lost the tour card. I think he's more bothered that he's lost the match, because I think it was an opportunity, especially if he could have averaged 94 again, to potentially get himself into a semi-final.
Yeah, indeed. And Cam, a word on Mervyn King. He's into yet another quarter-final. Man that's been so near yet so far throughout the majority of his career. 2 BDO World Finals, multiple other PDC televised finals, including the Masters earlier this year, which could have had a completely different dynamic to 2021. Let's not forget him losing in that final to Johnny Clayton, put the Ferret in the Premier League and started the run of 4 televised titles for the Ferret. How does King sum up this season? Does he need to get into the back end? He needs to go past James Wade, really, doesn't he, to make 2021 a success, considering the size of his performances so far this year?
Yeah, he does. He's got to at least be putting himself in the semis and looking to go on from there as well. If he's going to be a success, yes, okay, he made a major final. He's played well throughout the year. We've seen some flashes from him, but at the end of the day, his career is going to be judged on what he's won, and at the moment, that still stands at nothing when it comes to big TV majors. So he needs to kind of push on, and he seems quite confident every time we hear him speak, in the fact that if his best game turns up, then why can't he win it? But at some point, he's going to have to pull out that best game, and he's not been close to it yet. So he's not going to get past James Wade with a mid-80s average. It's not going to happen unless Wade has some sort of horrific first set and stays at that level.
I'd still enjoy watching it. Mid-80s average between those two. Yes, please.
Yeah, but he's one of them. He's not going to get through Wade with that. We know he's not. James Wade's too good for that, and doesn't let you off in the way that other people have done. So yeah, I think he's got to step it up and do it. But as long as he's still in there, that's the way this has gone so far as well. He might not have to beat anyone to get into the semi-final or the final, depending on what happens. So
look, we've had a day without COVID withdrawals, so let's ignore that for now. Let's pretend the world is nice and rosy and that the game's going to go on. Let's hear then from Mervyn King. As always, all these interviews are available in full on our YouTube channel. Once you finish watching or listening to us, head over there and you can hear them in their entirety. This, though, is Mervyn King in his post-match press conference.
We've had chances before, and I'm playing bloody well, but not taking them out, and they're not going my way. So it's nice that it's actually gone my way, even though I haven't played anywhere near as well as I can, and I was anywhere near as well as I have done previous. and not got through. So it's just nice that, who knows, maybe, maybe it's the king of the palace. And if Merv King turns up, we all know what happens.
Who knows, maybe, is the phrase of 2021. I think that's just the way that darts and sport works. On to game number 2 then. And once again, an outstanding performance from the 23-year-old from the Northeast. Look at the grin on Luke's face right now. Callum Ridds runs riot once again, excuse the pun, but he defeats Alan Suter 4-1. Another superb performance, Luke, from your boy.
Absolutely unbelievable. He's really, really come to fruition in the World Championship, and I think it's been building up for a long time. People that have known him and known him in the scene knew he was capable of this, and he's proved it in spades. I mean, Alan Suter couldn't get a foothold in the match. We knew his tournament average was around about 90, so it was always going to be difficult. But Ridds punished every opportunity. Even after he dropped the first set, the head didn't drop. The scoring power was still there. I mean, he was lethal on treble 19, to be honest. That bailed him out because his 180 scoring wasn't fantastic, but just absolutely lethal on the trebles. And it bought him so many opportunities that Suter never really got in the match. And he's definitely going to be proven to be a little bit of a threat for Peter Wright. You can't take that match easily. And I think he'll definitely put a bigger fight up than Ryan Searle did today. But for me, Callum Ridds is now, if you told me at the start of the tournament he was going to be 5th favourite for the World Championship by the quarter-final stage, I'd have laughed at you. And yet here we are, and he's got every chance of winning.
And those odds will decrease massively if he wins his next match, by the way, because he will have taken out the current world number 2 and former world champion. Cam, look, Alan Suter has had a fantastic run in 2021. He was one of those players that really caught a right at Q School back in the day. Carried that form into the Pro Tour and then has built his way up and up and up, including that victory over Barney at the UK Open. Not the greatest performances at this PDC World Championship, but he's got the results when he's needed to and sets him up nicely for his second year on tour. Yeah,
I think it's one of them. He's not played at the level that we know he can, but he's won matches, and I was going to say he was in form up until today. That's a
I wonder why you had a mischievous grin on your face.
Try to let that go. No, but he started really well today, actually, and I thought the first set was very, very good from him. And it was the first time Callum had dropped a set all tournament as well, which is utterly ridiculous at this stage. Shows you how well he's played, but I just thought it was a chance for him to put a bit of pressure on him, but then Ridds just stepped it up, and it was the consistency from Ridds as much as anything. It wasn't the absolutely in-your-face, kicking you in the teeth 180 hitting and big finishes. It was just, I didn't see the treble-less visits start on Sky today, but I imagine there weren't that many for him because he seemed to just find at least one every time just to bail him out and keep that scoring up, and finished up after a ropey start on the doubles as well at almost 50% as well. So he keeps that up, and he's going to be very, very difficult to beat. And like you say, he could give Peter Wright a real run. Yeah, there are many different ways to get from 501 to 0, and Callum Ridds demonstrated a completely different aspect to the way that we're used to seeing him. Did only hit 2 180s level with Suter. That will have killed a fair few bets, I believe. I'm not speaking from experience, honestly. Before we do hear from Callum Ridds, Lee Boyce in the chat room, one of our own, he says, good evening all. On my way back from Manchester. Commiserations on that one, mate. I joined as we were just hearing from Merv. Who would have thought he'd still be in the world? To me, actually. We both had him to get to this point, but I had Wadey to beat him. So I've got both. You didn't. You said Wadey would be out. So there's still time for you to get it completely wrong, Lee. Don't get too smug just yet. The rest of my predictions in the mud completely. But that one, still alive. Also, 100% changed mind on Gary Anderson. I'm regretting that massively now. He's in the quarterfinals too. Let's then hear from who were we just talked to? Callum Ridds. And then we'll look at the final game of the afternoon session and what was an absolute classic.
It sounds amazing, but again, for me, it's game by game, Phil. I can't focus on the semi-final, final, or whatever. I'm just one game at a time boy now.
You've been amazed at the response that you've got off social media, because Callum Ridds' name is on everyone's lips on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
I mean, yeah, it's something different. I normally have the Instagram on private as well, and I looked yesterday, I had over 1,000 requests. I mean, I should really take it off private, but yeah, the support has been unreal, and the messages I've had of everyone, I couldn't thank them enough.
Superb response to Rids, who has really shot himself into stardom, if you like. That's what a good run at the World Championships can do, with all the eyes on it from the start of the tournament as well. Let's not forget all of the pre-tournament hype that surrounded this one. Onto the final game of the afternoon, and what an absolute classic game of darts. This was another that you could have watched for a best of 19 sets. They just went at each other, leg after leg, set after set, haymaker after haymaker, Luke. But Luke Humphreys gets over the line in another tiebreaker final set. He beats Chris Dobie 4-3.
Yeah, it was another one that didn't look like it was going to go to final set as well. There's not been too many games where we've had 1-1, 2-2, 3-3. Like Luke Humphreys looked down and out with 3-1, and you thought Chris Dobie was going to jump all over him, but suddenly found something from somewhere. The scoring power kept him in it. You know, he was absolutely lethal on treble 20 today. And it did enough. There was some combination finishes in there, but it was so nip and tuck, and it must be a missed opportunity for Chris Dobie. You know, he'll have thought that he was going to win that 3-1, but what a game. It was brilliant. It was up there with what we saw from Clayton and Smith. And the pace of it as well. You know, it's so easy watching, but it was a really good game. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think Luke Humphreys has got massive danger now.
Yeah, missed opportunity seems very much the apt word for Chris Dobie this year. He has been in fantastic form. He's pulled off some ridiculous performances, and he just never seems to be on the winning end of those performances. His opponent always seems to do something brilliant, drags them up, gets involved in these absolute ding-dong battles, but he is fastly becoming what Michael Smith was for a while, where he looks superb, plays superb, but doesn't get that W at the end.
Yeah, and it looked like it was going to be the other way around at the start of this game, because Luke Humphreys was averaging something ridiculous like 113 early on through the first set or two, and Dobie took both of them. And it was it looked like it was going to be the other way around for once, where Dobie wasn't playing as well, but just hitting a solid number and consistent and doing the right things at the right time. And it looked like maybe he'd kind of broken that, and he was going to get over the line in this one quite comfortably, despite being outplayed really for the most part. And then when it came down to it in the final set, even then it still did he go 2-0 up in the final set, if I remember rightly? I think he did, didn't he? And then Humphreys fought back and went on to win it. I might be wrong there. It might have gone 1-1, but it was just an unbelievable game. And like you say, I'd quite happily still be sat here watching this now if that final set was just going on and on. 25 180s, 5-ton pluses, high 90s from both of them. By far the best game we've seen today, and probably up there with last night's battle for best game of the tournament.
It is indeed. Lee's just made a very interesting point looking at the rest of the field. I'm just thinking the trophy will be staying in the UK when we see another overseas winner. We'll get to that a little bit later, but I've just flashed up on screen because we'll go through so many comments between now and then. But start thinking about that one as well, boys. A word, Luke, on your namesake, Luke Humphreys, before we hear from him. I'm not sure what he's about to say in our clip, but on stage in his post-match press conference, he mentioned the big P word. This is the event before, so I sort of allow conversation, although focus should always be on the World Championship over the Premier League. Look, back to 2 quarterfinals here and another one now, looking good for potentially a semi-finals out, and the former World Youth Champion. He's spoken about how many opportunities him being World Youth Champion possibly should have got him before. Do you think now is the right time to be talking about the Premier League, or should you let your darts do the talking and let it sort itself out?
Look, I think sometimes we as media put a lot of pressure on these players to get in the Premier League. You know, we build it up as it is something that you can talk about all year round. These players are trying to organise themselves some chances to get in there. Yes, by all means, if you don't ask, you don't get. Why not put yourself in the conversation? I think with a UK Open final, if he can get himself to the semi-final, he's brilliant to watch, the quick action. Everyone would love to see him play at least for 9 weeks, but I think he'd probably get through and pass the relegation fight. So yeah, why not? I say put yourself in the conversation, but it is bold to talk about it. You know, we've still got a couple of games left in the World Championship, so maybe get yourself through the quarterfinal, semi-final, and then begin to put your focus elsewhere. But for me, I think he's definitely in the conversation, and I'd put him within the top 3 or 4 on my list of wildcard picks. So by all means, I think he's got every chance of getting in the Premier League, but he does need probably another win, maybe 2 wins, because really, if you're just seeing a UK Open final and a World Championship quarterfinal or last 16, it doesn't quite cut the mustard for me, but he's going to be close for definite.
Correct, because obviously let's not forget Ryan Searle in very, very similar form. Players' Championship final runner-up, has been a more consistent player on the floor, a little bit more exciting, brings a little bit more to him as well. So he'd certainly be in that similar conversation if we're including Luke Humphreys at the minute, I think. Let's hear then from Luke Humphreys to round out the afternoon session, and then we'll review what happened this evening. This is Luke Humphreys.
The first two times I got to the quarterfinals, it was more, I was so over the moon to get there, and I was happy where I was. But now I'm sort of settled in the top 20 in the world. I'm not really settled. I want to go on and do bigger things now, because I can't sit here and be like, I'm happy. I'll take a quarterfinal and just go home and enjoy it. But it's my time now to push on. And I was honest. I think I am ready. A few people have said they're not ready. I think I am ready. I think I've got that experience now, and I've had quite a few good games on the big stage now. I think that, I don't think I deserve to be in the Premier League, but I'd love to be in it. So, but if I play really well again and, keep pushing, I'll give the selectors no choice to put me in. But I do think I'm ready to mix it with the best. I think big scorers suit me well. I can match them and stuff. So, it'd be interesting to see how well I do, but that'll all come down to whether they pick me. But I've got to sort of put my name in the hat as well myself. Oh, it's serious. Of course it was serious. I want to be in it, but I'm not sort of forcing them to pick. I'm just saying, I'm one of them people that are very vocal that I'd love to be in it, because no one's really put their hand up this year and gone, pick me. I think, we've got the common players that have all played well this year that are probably going to be in it anyway, but no one's sort of gone, I'm ready. And, I am. I feel like I am, and I'm not going to sit here and go, I'm not ready for it. I am. And I'm showing that in my performances. I've been really, really solid this year on TV without doing anything extraordinary. And I feel like a year in the Premier League will probably benefit me, because mixing it with the best, it just showed you there that, when I'm on the game, I can match anybody. But, I was quite serious about it. But obviously, I'm not saying, the PDC have to pick. I'm saying if they want to pick and they think I deserve it, I'm never going to turn it down, because I'd relish it.
Thanks. Can't disagree. They're just open, honest, and saying what I think every single dart player feels. Though everybody wants to be in the Premier League. Everybody knows when their game turns up they can match it. But just putting that out there, putting the seed into some players' minds. Before we do move on to the evening session, I forgot this at the time because we're so used to not having it. But we do have another clip from Alan Suter. He gave a brief little conversation after his exit. So let's hear from Alan Suter as well after his match with Callum Ridds, talking about his reaction with the crowd this week, I believe, and then we'll look at this evening's session.
Got absolutely bossed there by Callum. No qualms about that at all. I didn't play any. I've not played well all tournament, and I got found out there. So well done to Callum, and good luck in the quarterfinals. He deserves a good run. So fair play.
Just on that, Suits, will you seek advice from Gezi over time and ask him how he does it, so you can try and do the same?
I don't. I'm not really friendly with Gezi. He doesn't sort of mix with me. We'll see. I think probably the best people to speak to are the people that get that same situation. So yeah, if he's got any words of advice for me, then I'd love to speak to him. But it's just so hard. When you win, it's all right. When you lose, you feel really low and down, and you feel like everyone's against you. So I've now got both feelings. So I just go back and process that and try and come back a little bit stronger.
Bang on. I think another character that has embraced the crowd, embraced the villainry, and when it works for you, it's magical. When it perhaps doesn't go your way, then there's a conversation to be had about leave them alone and just play the darts. And that's always been the reaction, isn't it? Like, if you're going to get involved with the crowd, make sure you're going to win, because if not, they will destroy you. And all right, they have been much, much worse this year than they have done in previous years. There's been a lot of conversation about the chanting, the booing, the fact that for the first time ever, the World Championship crowd has seemingly turned patriotic in inverted speech quotes, because I'm not sure how much of it is patriotism. But yeah, there's an argument, the same that is said about Gerwyn Price and others, that if you're going to get involved with a crowd, this started on the Euro Tour as well, by the way. This isn't just a dig at certain players. If you're going to go and have a pop at a crowd who are supporting a home player, make sure you're winning, because they will remember it and they will give it for you for the rest of the tournament. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah,
in the sport of darts.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, he tweeted prior to the game saying 6 sing your heart out tomorrow, Ali, Englandshire. Like you can't then sit there and say that it's affected you and got to you the fact that they've done it. You've told them to do it, and you gave it them back a bit, saying that you weren't going anywhere to get battered. So you can't have it both ways. But I felt until seeing that he's dealt with it really well actually throughout the tournament. Even though he got a little bit too involved in his first game, he actually hasn't. He seems to be one that's sort of fed off it a little bit and quite enjoyed it and enjoyed his time up there. So it was a little bit surprising to see that from him actually today.
Yeah, the thing is about the crowd this year, though, and this is where it's the first time I've ever heard this. When Mervyn King never gets cheered. Before they even announced his name, it was from England. England gets a cheer. There's the national anthem going on all the time. Don't get me wrong, we get it in Germany and we get some partisan crowds, but this is the most partisan the Alexandra Palace has ever been. Like, every single foreign player is being booed to bits. It's really bad. I mean, look, some players, whether he should or not, I think it's disrespectful the amount he gets now. But Gezi, he had his incident at the Grand Slam, and people remembered it, and that's why he gets booed, and it's fair enough. And yet, there's players here like Raymond Smith and Alan Suter. To be honest, yeah, he tries to G them up a little bit, and they were both having a little bit of stick with it, but they hadn't done anything to provoke the crowd booing them in the first place. They're just sort of trying to feed off it now. It's difficult, and I've never ever seen the crowd like this. It's deciding matches, so maybe it's a good thing that most of the players left are from England, so at least they won't side with one or the other.
I'll blame Fallon. The crowd booed Steve Beaton because of Fallon Sherrick. It's all her fault completely.
I genuinely think this is just still a hangover from the Worlds and
back-to-back summers of England going very, very close at football.
Yeah, exactly. But I genuinely think this is just a hangover from that, and that that's still carrying on, and it's still coming home.
Still is. It is. It's coming home. I'm not sure where, I'm not sure where or when, but it is coming home. And I'm not going to lie, that was top of my Spotify rap this year. That's how often I was playing that song. On to the evening session then, boys. There's still plenty to talk about, and we've got all 4 quarterfinals to look ahead to as well. James Wade started the proceedings this evening with just his second match of the tournament. He received a bye earlier on after Vincent van der Voort withdrew due to a positive COVID test. And in double quick time, he has beaten another Dutchman. He beat Mike Kuyvenhoven in the previous round. This time, it's Martijn Cleomacka, and he did it in pretty convincing fashion, Cam, 4-0.
He did. It was as much wading as you're going to get. Cleomacka was poor on the outer ring, and Wade just put on an absolute clinic of consistent sort of 140 scoring and ton scoring, and then just taking out those sort of early hundreds checkouts, just the treble, single, double checkouts that he is better than anyone in the world at, and he just did it again and again and again. And Cleomacka just never really got going today. It was just almost like a little step too far from him. He's had a good run for his first time up there, and I think he will come back stronger for it. And I think he'll be one to watch again next year once he's a bit more used to the environment of being up there. But yeah, Wade was he was impressive without being impressive, if that makes any sense. The fact that it wasn't a wonderful performance, but it was just so solid and so comfortable.
Yeah, Luke, it was mid-90s. It was just under 40% on the doubles. There was 3 ton-plus checkouts in there. There wasn't a single 180 in sight. If anybody is going to win putting that performance in, it is James Wade. It was an absolute clinic of finishing and picking off the checkouts at the right moments. He just never looked like he was in any sort of trouble at all. He dropped 4 legs all day. Just ridiculous how you can be in a World Championship quarterfinal without hitting a 180 in the entire tournament.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that listens to this regularly, you'll know I don't usually sing the praises of James Wade, but today I do appreciate how good he is at the combination finishes. There's nobody in the game that's probably better at those finishes under pressure than James Wade. And look, he can win tournaments based on that purely alone. Now, yeah, he's not going to win many tournaments, not hitting a 180, but I think that'll all change next match. But he did more than enough. He was still averaging over 90 without hitting a single 180. So, yeah, you cannot fault James Wade. It was a really comprehensive performance. He kept Martin Cleomacka at arm's length the whole match. And to be honest, Cleomacka, as Cam said, he hasn't had a bad run. He can't fault the last 16. He'd have definitely taken that at the start of the tournament, and to be the last Dutchman in the tournament as well. You never ever would have called that. Obviously, COVID has had some say in that, but a good run for Cleomacka. But Wade marches on, and I think he's got to be fancying his chances against Mervyn King, especially after the performance we saw from him today.
He does indeed. I want to talk about these ton-plus treble, single, double combinations that James Wade has become so adept at, so renowned for. It doesn't make sense to me that this scoring is not one of the top in the world, because he hits that treble first dart for these combinations so often, it makes the target bigger. How does he then miss and not put two more in there constantly and become an absolute maximum machine? We saw it in his game a little bit earlier in the year when he went on to win the UK Open, but he hasn't really brought that level with him yet, Cam. He'll need that to turn up if he is going to beat Mervyn King, though, because look, it's going to be an absolute scrap, that game.
Yeah, it's going to be, that's the best word for it. It's going to be basically like just, yeah, it's just going to be a scrap. It's going to be like watching, I don't even know, maybe.
I think the correct term is it's going to be one for the pure.
It's just like there's no skill or technique involved. They're just absolutely just beating lumps out of each other for the full 12 rounds. That's going to be what it's going to be like. And I think the same as you with Wade, and how he doesn't, like the way that he hits that treble every time when he's on one of those finishes, pretty much, it feels like. How he doesn't do that more regularly in the scoring phase, it must just be like, is it just focus? Is he just focus a little bit more when he's got one of those finishes and he just hits it? I don't know what it is, but yeah, he's going to need to up it a little bit against Merv. But I think, to be honest, coming into it, Merv's the one that needs to up it more than Wade does.
Before today, I wouldn't have said that, but after today, I do 100% agree. Let's hear then from Wade. He's sporting his brand new beard evermore, but it's covered up by a face mask in his post-match press conference.
Do you know, I've been asked that silly question many, many times, and it's the most ludicrous question in the world. Why would I swap what I've done for one tournament? Would I love to win this tournament? 100%, yeah. But you can't. It's quite a silly equation what people ask, but quite a few people do ask it.
I never asked before, so...
No. So,
new to this,
no, it's a good question, you know. But it's not the norm where I'm being interviewed, you know, officially. You know, people ask me that outside of darts and stuff, you know. But no. Why would you swap the success I've had outside of it, you know? Do I want this one on the tick? Of course I do. But, you know, it is what it is. It hasn't happened yet. Will it happen? Yes. When it'll happen, who knows?
That's the first time I've ever heard James Wade say he's going to win the World Championship.
Yeah, that was a bold.
I was started thinking this is a little bit of a nothing clip from James Wade. It's the standard you're going to get with him. He loves to give a little bit back to whoever's interviewing him, and then at the end he just goes, "It's going to happen." The man hates the venue.
8 players that's going to win the World Championship this year. So who's going to bottle it? Because if all 8 are going to win the World Championship, then something's going to have to give, isn't it?
To be fair though, Wade, he said it's going to happen, but he didn't say it was going to happen this year. He said when it'll happen, he doesn't know. So he's not that confident he's going to win it this time round, but he's confident he's definitely going to win it.
He's confident it's just going to happen.
I know, yeah, it's a little bit ridiculous.
Pleasantly surprised by that comment as somebody that follows Mad the way that I do. Onto the penultimate game then of the last 16, and what a clash this was in prospect. Rob Cross entered this as quite a large favourite, despite only winning 2 of the previous 14 encounters against Gary Anderson. And once again, the Flying Scotsman came out on top, Cam, and I think it's because he must have watched the Fallout Bar last night.
To be honest, I didn't watch the Fallout Bar last night, so I don't know.
Because I told him to get rid of them stupid darts and throw the straight ones, and I told Peter Wright to do exactly the same. And by the way, guess what happened?
Yeah, Gary didn't start with them though. To be fair,
he started with another straight barrel. They weren't
but not with the ones that he actually played well with.
There was a minor adjustment. It's the same with Peter Wright. You can throw the ones he won the World Championship with. You can throw the ones he won the match play with. Straight barrel.
Yeah, just straight barrel. It just has to be. They just both play better with them, despite both thinking that they can't throw them, which is the most ridiculous thing ever heard, to be honest. Yeah, Gary played well tonight. He almost let it slip, and what Rob Cross was doing going the 19s route on 108 when he is the best 18s hitter in the world of darts and loves that segment more than anyone else. I actually said after he took out the 144 that he should only ever throw at 18s and just forget the 20s altogether. He's that good on them. He also hit a couple of 162s in there as well, and he's so good on it. And then it comes to Shanghai on the 18s, and he decides to go 19, treble 19, double 16, and hits the 3, and that was it. And I think that at that point, that goes in, he possibly wins this match, and it was just a bit of a strange decision from him. But obviously, I mean, for every other player in the field, I'd probably say the 19th route is the right way to go on that outshot. But the way Rob Cross hits 18s, it was just a bit of a strange one. But Gary was really solid. The 170 was absolute magic. He was solid on the doubles, and he just did enough in the end where he looked like he was cruising to it at one point, and then Cross kind of came back at him, and then to close it out, I thought it was quality from him, really, for someone who I wasn't sure actually wanted to be in the tournament yesterday, and now he's right up there with a chance of winning it.
Yeah, had exactly the same doubts. Luke, there was a bit of a wobble from Gary Anderson. Look, he didn't start the brightest, picked it up from there, though. He started to reel off set after set against Rob Cross. Voltage then starts coming back at him, and you look at the moment where Gary Anderson busts 129, and you're a bit like, Gary, what have you done? Because you just handed it to Rob. He's got the momentum that Rod Studd does not believe in. He's on the comeback, and you just gifted him an opportunity after busting the 129. And you're a bit like, when you're watching, you think, I've seen this script before. Maybe it's not going to be his day.
Anderson seems to get a bit of brain fog at times, doesn't he? There's just times that he just loses a little bit of momentum. Suddenly, the match can swing on a knife edge, and you're looking at Rob Cross going back at him. We're going to the last set decider, and you're just thinking, what have you done here? You could have had this match wrapped up. But look, at the end of the day, the performance was massively improved on last night. We're starting to see him pull through, and a 97 average is capable, and there is potential with a 97 average that you can go on and do big things in this tournament. So at least he's shown us some form. At least he's using the right darts. There's definitely a lot of positives to take from it, and he's come through quite a good scrap, which is again going to prepare him well for Luke Humphreys, because Luke Humphreys is not going to take it easy against Gary Anderson. We should get a good game there. But yeah, he's coming into form at the right time, and he just seems to do it every time at the World Championship. We say this all the time, but if there's one tournament to come right for, then it's the World Championship. So nobody can fault him. The man still has a lot of talent, and I don't agree with the people that say he's going to retire. I still think he's got quite a few years left in him, and I think he is still quite enjoying this, to be honest.
Yeah, his Alexandra Palace record is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. He's just different on this stage. It's I don't know what it is, but. Yeah, just touching back on the 129 again. What did he think he had left after he...
82. It has to be 82. 129, 57. He thinks he's got 82 because he went treble 14 for tops. 14 would have left 68 in his mind. So treble 20 would have left double 4. So the miscount was from...
I couldn't get my head around where he thought he had left after
dart 2, not from dart 2 to dart 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew. Yeah, obviously he miscounted there because I was like, he's on 42 to leave 30, which
42 were left 30, yeah.
I was just trying to think what he thought he had left after that, but yeah, you're right. If it was 82, it's 68 left, isn't it? So, yeah.
G says the only one to challenge Gezi will be right, in my opinion. We'll talk about him very, very shortly. Tommy says Anderson has a great PDC world record. He has one of the best. The man's been in 5 finals. He's in absolutely everything. And Rose says, no wonder he stays so high in the rankings, does so well at the highest paying tournament. He does indeed, which would have been another debate had Raymond Smith won earlier, by the way, because he has absolutely nothing on his rankings. 1 quarter-final is enough for a tour card. Players work all year for that. We would have been having a very, very different conversation throughout a month.
But at the same time, if you do it in the biggest tournament, you kind of deserve to be rewarded for it.
Imagine how good Anderson could be if he actually cared about darts. Yeah, look, the fact that he still turns up to the Alexandra Palace every year and puts in performances like this must be so frustrating to everybody else because the man doesn't practice, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure he's about to reiterate in his post-match press conference. Here is the Flying Scotsman.
I've done well. People say back-to-back, but I've actually been in the final 5 times the years that I've been here. That's never mentioned. Oh, you've won it back-to-back. I could have won it 3 times, but lost to Van Gillen in the 3rd final.
was that back to back, you know. So, you know, and people never talk about that. So, yeah, listen, I just play darts. All the ones that want to win it, yeah, good luck to them. I've done my job, and I'm just here to play darts and have a bit of fun.
Does that say a lot though? You're getting final last year, quarters in this year, when your game is nowhere near.
My game's not even close,
That's what I mean,
you know.
it's not even
Yeah,
close, but
don't
you're still
practice,
getting-
you know. Very little to do when Ryan comes round once every blue moon, and people say they call me a liar. They say a load of shit. I'm telling you now, do one. If you want to say come and live with me 6 months, you know what to do. They all go about natural players. Who's a natural? Stick us in the Big Brother house for 6 months. Not a dartboard in sight, not a throw. Bring us out and play. You'll see how good the other lot are. Then you talk about an actual dart player. If I've not thrown a dart for 6 months and then come and play darts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely.
You
It's
know?
just interesting to see that mindset.
Yeah, stick us away. I mean, I'll go weeks and weeks without throwing a dart and people don't believe me. Well, trust me, I'm not going to lie about it. So that's the way it is.
It's usually one of us that drops the first swear word in this
I
show.
just want to play darts is the most iconic line in darts right now. It's not Gary Anderson that interview until he's said that if he's offering to go and live with him, pretty sure he's got a bedroom bigger than mine spare. So, you know.
As soon as you mentioned the Big Brother idea, I thought you'd love that with King and Wade in there.
There's no point. There's no point going and living with him because he won't play darts against you. So what's the point?
I'll play snooker against him. Apparently, he's bloody good at that. And no one don't play that any regularly either. But yeah, Gary Anderson into yet another quarter final with his standard comedy in an interview. On to the final match of the day, and it doesn't look like we're going to get an interview for that because he's no longer in the back end. But Peter Wright did defeat Ryan Searle 4-1 to wrap up the last 16 action. Cam, the former world champion, defending that prize money this year, is still in the hunt to do so. On the tail of the world number one, Gerwyn Price as well, in a performance that he himself is very upset about, despite the fact he's averaged 99, 40% on the doubles. One that everybody else would be more than chuffed with, and in his head, it's just not good enough. I just can't work out Peter Wright sometimes.
No, it's a bit of an odd one, isn't it? Though, to be fair, when he said that, possibly he maybe didn't realise how good of an average it was, because it didn't feel like that watching it either, to be honest. I don't know whether that was just because Searle struggled today, he wasn't at it, and I don't know what it was with him. Maybe the fact that Gary won't practice with him, who knows? But he's maybe not had quite the preparation that he wanted. But yeah, I just think it didn't feel as good as a 99 average from watching it. But I think maybe that was just the pace. Again, I really don't know what it was, but the stats sort of back it up that he's played really well again. And these darts that he tells us he can't throw are by far the best darts that he throws every time that he uses them. And I thought he was pretty impressive in the end, in the way that we know how well Ryan Searle's been playing. I kind of fancied an upset in this one. I thought Searle was playing well enough that he could maybe get revenge for the Players' Championship finals, but he just never got in it. He never got a chance to do so, and that was partly down to the fact that Wright had him under pressure from the very start. And yeah, I think he's going to be a danger, isn't he, to anyone, and none of us, I don't think, would be surprised if he went and defended that money.
Yeah, look, I think there's plenty out there that expected this one to be a far closer encounter. The way that Ryan Searle has played throughout the year, the way that these two duked it out in the Players' Championship final that went to a last leg decider. The fact that Ryan Searle was brave enough to say that he wanted to play Peter Wright in an evening session. Do you think the fact that he made that comment, not to call out Peter Wright, by the way, it felt very much like he wanted that moment and occasion a little bit more, that perhaps that was the underlying factor in why he just didn't quite deliver tonight, because there was no commitment in his dart in action today. It was very, very loopy. There was no projection to the board with his darts. He just seemed like he just wanted to place him as if he was scared and just happy to be there.
Yeah, the conviction wasn't quite there. And to be honest, there was a lot of darts that were going in at really funky angles. It was making it very difficult to follow them in. There was too many stray darts in the 5. It was making it very difficult to follow on, and he just couldn't get any scoring power going. I think he only had 2 180s in the match, which from Ryan Searle, he's quite a big scorer, so it's poor. And to be honest, Peter Wright held up his end of the bargain. That was the sort of averages we were expecting from both. We expected Searle to be averaging that 97, 98 mark, but he was just nowhere near. We never got in the match. Peter Wright kept him at arm's length the whole time. A few combination finishes for Peter Wright, and that was enough to put Ryan Searle to bed. Yes, he's going to be happy with the occasion this time round, but he'd have expected a lot more, and obviously they want revenge for the Players' Championship final. So it's been a good year from him. I don't know where that leaves him in the Premier League discussion, to be honest. I think it probably leaves him just outside this year, but he can build on this. I think he's inside the top 16 now, so every chance. Kick off the year well with the Masters and then see from there. But he's playing well. It was a poor finish to the tournament, but at least he's made the last 16.
Yeah, look, if you offered Ryan Searle a televised final this year and a last 16 at the World Championships before the season got underway, pretty sure would have bitten your hand off for it. His performances have probably deserved a little bit more than that this year, but nonetheless, he has fallen. Peter Wright still in the hunt, still does the talking, rocks up with whatever set of darts he wants, but this time, look, when he kept these darts throughout an entire tournament, he won the match play at an absolute canter. If he keeps these darts 3 days in a row, after New Year's Eve, he might do the same.
He might, but whether he keeps them is another question, and it's why every time that anyone asks me who I fancy in the game, I kind of go, I just don't know. I don't want to get involved because it depends completely on what he decides to turn up and throw. Because when he turned up with those new Whitlock ones that he was throwing last night, it was just, for the first 2 sets, he was as bad as we've seen him play for a long time. And then he switched the darts and completely was a different player. So he just needs to stick with them. And we've been saying this for so long. There's 2 sets that he needs to use. And if he uses any others, then there's no confidence in what he's going to turn up and do. So hopefully he gets his head round it and we see him play at his best, and that if he goes on and wins it, or if he gets beat, it's the best version of him that's got beat using the darts that he's playing the best darts with.
Yeah, and quite possibly the most Peter Wright thing in the world. He said on a Sky interview, he had another set of darts this morning, hit a 180 first throw, but didn't use them. Expect them to come out of the packet again on New Year's Day and start for 3 sets maybe, and then change his mind, and God knows else what. Plenty in the chat room saying I agree, if he keeps these darts, he'll win the tournament. Nell says he'll stick with the darts. And discussions about, by the way, Ronnie O'Sullivan being compared to Gary Anderson, natural players that just want to play the game, get on with it. I really like that comparison. Yeah. As I said, no snakebite clip ready for us. PB must still be editing it for YouTube, etc. So make sure you do head over to our channel once we've finished, and you guys can check that out in full. Before we look ahead to tomorrow's action, please don't forget to like today's show, subscribe to the channel, and comment below to get involved. That last bit really important now as we look ahead to the quarterfinals. We'll be asking for your score predictions in those as we go through them as well. Subscribe and like are just below your screen as you're watching now. They really do help us out as a channel, so we really appreciate all of you tapping that button for us. Right, boys, let's look ahead at the 4 quarterfinals, and I don't have a running order as yet, so we're going to talk about them in draw bracket order. We're going to start from the top of the draw from the first quarter and work our way down. That means, Luke, the first game we're going to be predicting in a best of 9 sets, the format does go up, is the world number 1 and reigning world champion Gerwyn Price against possibly the man of the tournament so far, Michael Bully Boy Smith. What an epic this can be, but it will certainly not be the first game on in the afternoon, surely.
No, it's last game on in the evening. They had put the Ronaldo and Sky on there just before the coverage ended. So yeah, this is the prime time slot. Michael Smith against Gerwyn Price. It's going to be close. I'm sure I'm not going to be the only one that goes with this. It's a little bit of heart over head, but I think Michael Smith comes out 5-4 in a last set decider. I think it goes all the way. I think we could have. I don't think it'll go 5-5 sudden death, but I think we could have extra legs in that last set. But I just feel like Michael Smith, he's running a little bit of confidence. The scoring power is unbelievable. Gerwyn Price is going to push him close. But if he's ever going to win one, it's got to be this year because he's on such good form. This is his chance. If he knocks out Price, he's surely a massive favourite to get to the final against either Wade or King. And from there, who knows? But he's putting himself in with another chance of making another world final. And I feel like this time he gets that monkey off his back, gets to the world final, and then I think he could go on and win it.
Cam, score prediction for you?
Yeah, Luke's kind of took everything that I was going to say there. I'm in the same.
How dare he?
Absolutely outrageous that we're going to agree on something. So, yeah, I think this mature version of Michael Smith that we're seeing and the way that he's playing, and he's not getting down when things aren't going his way, and he's not getting too hyped up when it's going well. He's just staying level, staying composed, and playing some really, really good stuff. I think he's been the most impressive player we've seen so far during this tournament, and I think that continues. And I actually think he's going to do it slightly more comfortable than Luke thinks. And I think he's going to do it 5-3.
I don't think I've ever seen Michael Smith backed so much in the chat room, in this discussion, ever at this stage, especially against the world number one. You two boys have gone with it. Look, not sure I can, because it's Bully Boy. Anybody else in this form, 100%, I think, yes, Gerwyn Price is in the form to be upset as well. I'm still not overly convinced by him. But this is the point last year, by the way, when Price went absolutely berserk. He sort of meandered all the way to the quarterfinals and then produced back-to-back doubling performances that you have never seen in your life and possibly never will. That double top after New Year's Day last year, just couldn't miss it. I'm not saying he goes on that sort of performance again, but I do think he wins this one, and I'm going to say 5-3 to the Iceman. The second semi-final, quarter number 2, will be an all-English affair, and it is. I'm gonna nickname it the Gob Derby. I'm all over this. I'm taking ownership of this one. It is James Wade against Mervyn King, two of the finest dart players to have not won a PDC World Championship. Cam, coming to you first. Who wins this one?
Can I pick a draw? No. Can I have none of them?
You can say darts is the winner, but you still have to give me a scoreline.
Yeah. Can I have nobody going through? No. I really don't know where to go with this one. This is the one that I've been kind of racking my brains with before we even came on, in that, what am I going to pick on this? I think we see Mervyn King do it. And I don't really know what I'm basing that off, because he's not played particularly well so far, but got 3 matches. But I think just the fact that he keeps getting 3 matches without playing particularly well, if he just ups it a little bit, I think he'll have enough to do it, and I think he'll just find enough. So I'm going to go for King in a very, very tight affair. It's going all the way, 5-4.
Luke, score prediction for you?
Of the 4, for me, this is the most clean cut. I'm going with James Wade to get the job done. I think it's going to be 5-3. I think Wade showed me enough today that he can quite easily keep Mervyn King at arm's length. Mervyn King's going to have to up it by, I would say, 5 to 10 percentage points on what he averaged today, because Wade can afford to average 92. And as long as he's taken out those combination finishes, he can keep himself in that match. And I think he's going to do it. I think Wade, we're going to see the scoring power improve. That's a given. He can't continue scoring the way he is at the minute. He played all right today, but he's going to up it. And I think James Wade makes another semi-final.
Amazingly, I think this one's all about Merv. I don't think this one is all about James Wade, because the standard James Wade analysis is whatever he turns up with over the first 2 sets, he's going to stay with at that level for the entire match. Well, that seems to be what all of Mervyn King's opponents have done so far throughout this tournament, and King has then made the comebacks if he's been behind. And if that happens again, then he'll have to raise it to, I suspect, a higher level than he has done so far. But James Wade will just plateau for the entire match. It's what James Wade does. That being said, look, I agree with you. I think James Wade is going to start finding the treble a bit more tomorrow. And if he adds that to the performances he's put in so far on the outer ring, I think he's a real threat. And therefore, I'm going James Wade 5-3. I'd love to see all 9 sets, but I think Wade wins this in 8. Third section, third quarter of the draw. and it's the 23-year-old Callum Ridds against the former world champion, defending his prize money from 2 years ago, Peter Snakebite Wright. Luke, are you going with your hometown man?
I've got to, haven't I? I've got to do it. I've got to do it because I know you're going to back Wright. I think it's going to be close. I think Peter Wright's shown me a lot of good form, and usually I wouldn't be too keen on Peter Wright, but he has shown me so far in this tournament that he can still get the job done, and he's still one of the big favourites to make the final. But Callum Ridds hasn't been tested so far. This is going to be his first proper match, and I think he gets over the hurdle. I don't think there's any pressure on him. He's going to take it game by game. If he can average a ton plus, he keeps himself in. I'm going to say 5-4. I think he wins it in the last set decider.
Interesting. Cam, your prediction for this one?
Just kind of thinking about this. I kind of fancy the upset as well. I can see two scenarios. I can see Wright turn up and just playing really well and not putting Callum under pressure early on and even it being a little step too far from him. But I think the way he's playing and the way he's approaching it and just taking everything game by game, as he's saying, he's not getting too caught up in anything, not thinking too much into it and just playing, that we might just see Callum Ridds go and do this. And I think it's going to be an absolute cracker. I mean, just looking at the last meeting was on the Euro Tour and Ridds won that one in an absolutely unbelievable game where they both averaged almost 110 and Ridds hit every single one of his doubles. I don't think it was quite that standard, but I think we could see them both average over 100 in an absolute cracker and it go long. But if Ridds wins this, it's not going to go final set. I think it goes final set, Wright finds a way to get over the line. So I'm going to go 5-3 Ridds.
Sorry, boys, no upset in this one. I think Peter Wright will settle. I think he'll play with those darts. And I think that he has the experience and the added advantage in this one of being the slower player. Don't get me wrong, he does like to play at a rhythm, but if the pace in this game gets taken out of it and gets dropped, that will suit Peter Wright a lot more than it will suit Callum Ridds. And I think the experience, the pressure of being at this stage of the tournament, add all that to Peter Wright's game and the level that he can produce for sustained long periods of the game. And I think Peter Wright has all the tools to win this one. And I'm going to say 5-3 to Snakebite. And then the final quarterfinal we're going to discuss, boys, in that bottom quarter. It is Luke Humphreys, the 19th seed, against Gary Anderson, the former 5-time World Championship finalist. That record is ridiculous. I think I saw earlier it's 8 out of the last 9 quarterfinals. Gary Anderson has a superb record at Alexandra Palace. Cam, does that continue?
No, it doesn't for me. And that's the risk of almost picking an upset in every game here. I don't think it does. I think Luke Humphreys played really well today and got through a very tough game that is going to set him up for. I know Gary kind of did the same, but I think the level from Humphreys in getting through was a little bit higher. The two haven't actually played since, not in a proper game, I know, since Humphreys became the first one to win a Premier League game as a challenger on the stage against Gary, and I think we see him win again, and I think we see him win. I think it's going close again. This one is extra legs. It might even go to the very final one and come down to whoever wins the bull, but I'm going to take Humphreys to win it. 5-4.
So is your semi-final lineup Michael Smith, Mervyn King, Callum Ridds and Luke Humphreys?
Yes. Yes, it is.
just read that back to yourself a couple of times, and if you had those four before the tournament, give me the lottery numbers. Luke, your pick?
I can't side against Luke Humphreys either. I think it's unlikely that both Humphreys and Ridds will both make the semi-final, to be fair. The Wright against Ridds match is definitely it's a flip of a coin for me. But Luke Humphreys, I do think he's going to get the job done 5-3. I was really impressed with how he played against Christobi. If he doesn't start so slowly and can pick up the first 2 sets and put Anderson properly on the back foot, I think he can get the job done. Because to be honest, Cross could have had Anderson right where he wanted him after the first set today and missed chances. If Humphreys can sustain a ton plus average for the first 2 sets, Anderson's going to be another caution. It's how he then responds to that pressure. You know, the crowd will probably be on his back. Luke Humphreys has come with a lot of confidence. And for me, I see no reason why he doesn't average over a ton.
Bold. Look, can't not be impressed with Luke Humphreys, especially when you put that man in front of a TV camera but there is just something about this man at this venue that makes me think he might well be on track for maybe even another final. I backed him for a semi-final way when this draw first came out. Then I changed my mind a little bit, and I'm sort of regretting that now. So I'm going to stick with Gary Anderson, though, and I think he wins this one 5-3 to the Flying Scotsman. Look, before we go, I have just been handed the Peter Wright interview clip. So we're going to play that for all of you guys. A big thank you to everybody that's joined us in the chat room so far throughout. Your reward for sticking with us for just over an hour is to hear from Peter Wright.
Yeah, exactly. And if the PDC bring in the rules, we've all got to stay in the hotel next year, I won't be in the tournament. That's where, lucky I put my foot down this year with Joe and Paul. I said, I'm not staying at the hotel. I do not want to be staying at the hotel. Yeah, it's great for your friends coming when it's all clear and everything, stuff like that. You meet up with them, blah, 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 after the game. But you've got to look after your career, and it's just so next year hopefully Michael might learn from this, and Vincent and all the other players, and go right, try and find their own place to stay and have their own separate bubble, because that's you've got to be like it at the moment.
Peter, thank you very much, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. Mwah.
No, thank you.
Yeah. I'm hoping next year that we don't have to worry about this whatsoever, about people testing positive. I'm hoping that by that point that is not a point we have to even think about. I don't really think it could be now, but that's
if it is, the world's gone to shit. It's been over an hour.
Right.
It's 10 past midnight.
It's 10 past midnight.
We're still thinking about this at the next
We're
podcast.
still thinking about this then.
The world has gone to shit, even more so than it already has. Gents, a massive thank you for joining me once again this evening on the final Fallout Bar and the final bit of live coverage from Online Darts for 2021. What a year it has been from all of us in the team, including Phil Bars in the background. You can see all of your guys' comments, so massive thank you to all of those. A big thank you to BoyleSports for sponsoring all of our coverage of the PDC World Championships this year. Those guys have been absolutely amazing, made everything happen for us, and it couldn't have done it without them. Phil's just telling me we have Mardle tomorrow. It won't be live, but it'll be an interview going out, so it's not live, Phil. Don't give me that. This is the last time we'll be talking directly to the folks. And you guys in the chat room, you've been absolutely fantastic since we started live streaming way back at Q School Live. Who remembers that? A long time ago. A massive Happy New Year to every single one of our followers that are watching this, that are listening to this. We hope you have a fantastic evening tomorrow. Stay safe, and we'll see you all on New Year's Day. From me and all of the team, have a great evening.